Thank you for listening to Fem Talk 89 FM. We are on air at the Tano International Hotel Nadi, and it's time for a new season of Radio with Pictures on MyTV. Thanks to the support of UNDP, SCAFE program supported by the European Union, DFAT, and the International Women's Development Agency.
Thank you, Francis. Whether it's the National Development Planning process or the new Sustainable Development Goals, one message has been clear in consultations, whether it's in our local communities or international forums, such as the 59th session on the Commission on the Status of Women. Coalitions of women are saying gender equality and the full realization of human rights of women and girls must be emphasized. You can't talk about sustainable development without acknowledging that women and girls of all diversities comprise the majority of people living in poverty and bear a disproportionate burden of the impacts of financial and environmental crises. Gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls of all ages is essential for sustainable development. But don't just take my word for it. Here are the women in this new series of Radio with Pictures filmed following our Western Division consultation, which involved close to 50 women leaders from Ra to Nandronga, representing more than 3,000 women of all diversities, including young women and the LGBTIQ and disability rights groups. In this, our first episode, we have Jyoti Naidu. Jyoti is the executive member of the Fiji Disabled People's Federation, the president of the Nadi branch, and a committee member of the United Blind Persons of Fiji. We have Laniana. Laniana is from the Lautoka Songsonga Wakamarama Itoke. We have Satyawati. Satya is a JP. She's also the president of the Sanatan Nari Sabha Tavua branch and the secretary of the Yasi Yasi Multiracial Women's Club. And last but not least, Nanise Kasami Nangusutha, a former member of parliament and representative of the Ra Songsonga Wakamarama. Thank you all for participating in Radio with Pictures. I'm going to start with you, Jyoti. We've been having several days of conversation, but in terms of looking at the National Development Plan and the opportunity to inform not just a 5-year plan, but the broader 20-year plan, what are the priorities that you were seeing in addition to disability rights?
I think infrastructure, unemployment, and health is a very serious issue.
Okay, so where are we seeing these examples? Laniana and Satya, health, road, infrastructure, why are these an issue for you in your community, Satya?
This is an issue in my community, the poor health service. And whole of the Tabua, Nandari, Watukola, Tabua, and other communities, they are affected.
Okay. Laniana, what are the priorities that your communities are experiencing?
We're experiencing unemployment.
Okay.
More than 80% of youth are unemployed.
And where are these, just in your youth club, or as you've been talking, is this a problem across the Western Division?
It's like in the province of Ba, we have this Tiki Navunda. It has 4 villages. All the villages, it has youth are unemployed.
And what's causing the unemployment? Why are they unemployed?
Lack of education.
Have they dropped out of school?
Yes, school dropouts.
Why have they dropped out of school? Is it because they're not studying hard, or
Yes, they're not studying hard.
they're not meeting the grade,
Yes.
they're failing exams? And what about those that do complete high school? Are they getting educated? Are they getting training?
Government, it was on 2010. They did the program on National Employment Center, but now it has come to a stop. But all youth, they went there for registration, for them to get educated and give employment to them. But now it has come to a stop from 2010.
Okay, so you're talking about the province of Vunda, you're talking about the
Yes.
area of Vunda. I mean, there's a lot of tourism here in the Western Division. Why aren't they getting jobs in the tourism sector?
Well, they not get educated, not well educated.
So there are just no jobs available for them.
Yes.
And they're not interested in farming or planting or agriculture?
Yes.
Why not? Why aren't young people interested in...
recommended that the government or local agriculture system should give assistance to people in the villages for them to go and get educated for how farming are done.
So they need that kind of
Yes.
education and training. Nadi, I'm going to come across to you. We're hearing from Laniana in terms of youth unemployment. What are you seeing in the Ra province? Is that also a situation for you, that as we look at the 5-year National Development Plan, we need to prioritize employment for young people as well as women?
Yes, I think so. Because with youth is worldwide, I mean, the whole province, the whole area in Fiji, unemployment, especially with youth and women. What we should do is to ask the relevant department to provide education for this for the youth and women, because they've got the skills, and the only thing is to educate them.
Yes.
How to use all those skills.
Laniana has mentioned that some are not able to, they're not passing their exams, or when they do pass, there's not the training available. What are you seeing?
Yeah, the thing is with the land problem, some of them they don't have the land to do all their, I said that they have got the skills, especially with women, and then the problem is land.
Okay.
There is no land provided for them to use, and then small farms.
Okay. Jyoti, I'm going to ask you, because in terms of disability rights and unemployment, certainly if you are an able-bodied person, there are many opportunities, but the unemployment of persons with disabilities, aside from going into the vocational programs, what's the situation for you here in the Western Division?
When I see that the Western Division, it's a very serious issue, because not many of us are employed. Even though we have successfully studied, we have many of our friends are university graduates, but when we go into the employment sector, we have interviews, everything is okay, but when the employers know that we have a disability, then they drop us out.
Explain to me training, because for someone like you, you have a visual impairment, but you have access to the technology, at least on your phone, and I understand your home computer, which means you can access information, you can reply to emails, you're active in social media, including on Twitter, I understand. But why is it that the employers, even if they interview you, do they give you a reason?
They hardly give reasons, but sometimes there's, like as for myself, as a visual impaired person, they are not willing to provide the Joe speech software. That software is enabling us to hear what is on the screen, and because it's very expensive, so they are not willing to provide it. And many places, like they talk about the
Occupational health and safety.
Yes. And sometimes they always ask us to sign the contract or sign some of the things that, like if something happened to us at the workplace, then they won't be responsible. So those kind of things comes up.
Okay, so Fiji has ratified the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, is that right?
They have signed.
They've signed, they yet to ratify. But we do have a national disability policy? Yes? You're talking about discrimination against persons with disabilities. How do you want to see, I mean, if this is the private sector, or even the public sector for that matter, how do you want to see your economic rights assured through employment? I mean, what needs, you want them to comply with your rights?
Yes, I think if they come down to our level and involve us in the decision making. And I think the more we meet, it's the more, I mean, they can know like what we need.
Okay. Nani, I can see you kind of nodding as Jyoti is speaking. What do you think should be the strategies in terms of ensuring persons with disabilities have those economic rights, have their rights to employment guaranteed?
We should come down to them and try to understand them properly so that they can provide the right plan for them. That is what I think.
Do you think there needs to be subsidies then for employers because the JAWS software and OHS kinds of standards? Surely we need to have all our buildings should be disability friendly.
We should have all those places accessible to
Yes. Okay, thank you so much, Jyoti and Nani. Satya, I'm going to come back to you because you've raised the issue of health as a priority for not only Tavua, but you're saying it's across the division. The Minister for Health has come out saying that one of the problems with the health sector right now is we don't have enough specialized, skilled people, health service providers. Is it just about the number of doctors and nurses, or is it more than that, please?
Only the practical doctor is more there, they practice. Only 2 or 3 doctors are there. When at night time, we
Are
go...
you talking about the Tavua hospital?
Yes, Tavua.
Okay.
When at night time, when we went to hospital, serious people go there, doctor is not in time. When we wait, doctor comes there. After that, hours and hours we wait. Sometimes we have seen doctor or sometimes not. We wait a whole night, then in the morning doctor is checking.
Okay, so what needs to take place? What needs to change? So you want to see people, a full complement of staff?
Needs to change that any response authority, they can meet and talk about the rural communities, what is the lack of providers here, they can know about it. When they dialogue each other, they know about the problems here.
Okay, thanks. So dialogue is a way, come down and talk to you and understand what's going on. Laniana, in terms of the National Development Plan, a 5-year plan is being developed. What would you like to see in the National Development Plan, given that you've talked about youth unemployment as a priority? What's your recommendation?
For school dropouts, I think Ministry of Education should see into it to provide mature school for Western Division.
Okay. And what kind of training? When we talk about education, is it reading, writing, arithmetic, the basic education, or do you need agricultural training, computer skills? What do you need?
Computer skills, agricultural training, and tourism training.
Okay. And how would that, where do you want to see yourself in 5 years as a young woman here in the West? What would you like to be doing? What would you like your youth club to have achieved in 5 years because of a good national development plan?
Afford health.
So unemployment is resulting in what? What can't you do right now? You have no cash? What does that mean?
Poor standard of living.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean when you talk about poor standard of living? Tell me, what does that mean for you?
People are still living in like older communities. They can upgrade their old communities to new communities, like sanitarian system, drainage system.
So this is, you don't have flush toilets?
Yes.
You don't have plumbing? What else don't you have?
Agricultural ideas. But we do have lands, but people are not using it for their subsistence farming.
So what, you bring up a good point. I mean, if you have land and you're not using it, what do we need to do? You said assistance.
Yes.
But if you have that access to land, how would you like to encourage more young people to do the farming? What's your message to other young people in terms of getting involved in subsistence farming?
For them to be energetic, use their time wisely.
Get motivated.
Yes.
Okay. Satya, in terms of the 5-year plan, what are your priorities in terms?
In terms of 5-year plan, I think in our community is talking about that every villages, like between 2 or 3 villages settlement, they have a nursing center. If the more nursing centers are here, the problem will be solved.
So localized health service delivery, and put them in the local centers.
Yes.
So how many health centers would that mean for Tavua?
Maybe 18 or 19, because interior area there is a lots of village. Sometimes mothers, pregnant mothers, they when running to the hospital, Tabua is so far, they deliver a child in a way.
And how much, I mean, you do budgets, you've been involved in women's clubs, you've run successful projects. What would that cost look like? How much do you think it would cost to make sure that there's a local health center with a midwife, obviously, someone well trained?
The cost is there, but all the funds goes from the tax. The authorities people, they say this goes in the rural sectors. The please that budget can go rural sectors is well good. The people can save their life.
Okay, so use taxation to be able to fund rural health development, particularly at the local level in the communities. Okay, Nadi, you've been in government. You know how this 5-year plan works. What would be your recommendations for the new National Development Plan, given your knowledge of not just the Ra province, but you've been talking to women from across the Western Division?
Okay. What I believe about this, the proper budgeting should be done by the government, and I see that all budget is suitable for all the departments. I prepared for the roads and bridges
Yes.
in the interior. That's a major problem.
Yeah.
The interior people, especially the people. It's a problem in whole of the Western Division, interior ranges, their roads and bridges. That is the main problem to most of the women. I'll talk about the women in the Ra province. I'll take Nukulau for instance. That's the furthest village in the interior of Ra. Ladies, the women face problem with the roads. They have a risk there when it's raining, bad season. They have a road problem, and the connection of bridges, connection of village to the other village. There's a big river there, they make the bridges to connect them. And what I hope to see that the maintenance of the roads to be good in the next 5 years, right now they are using carriers, and most of the time when the road is rainy season, they have to push, and women with their products, farm products, to be brought to Raki market, they have to get off and then push the road, push the carrier, and then that's a risk in there. But in 5 years' time, I hope that the road will be maintained properly by the Department of Roads, and then the budget to be allocated towards that.
Upkeep.
Yes.
So what you're talking about is linked very much to what Satya was saying, that if the infrastructure is there, if the roads are good, if the bridges are connecting the villages, women can, one, access markets, take their produce to the market safely, and probably less expensive then? How much would one of those carriers cost right now?
Individual person to come by carrier, it's $24 to and from Raki town where they do the shopping, as I've said. And for you to hire carrier from Nukulau, I'm talking about Nukulau. From Nukulau to Raki town, it's more than $200.
Wow, that's a lot, isn't it? And then you've got to come and sit in the market and try and make that $200. And have you come across cases in relation to women trying to get to the hospital, whether it's to give birth? Yeah.
In Nukulau, the nearest dispensary is Nassau, which is 20 kilometers away. There was a problem during the Christmas a holiday. We went out to the village, and there was a lady who was about to give birth. The problem is that there is no transport and the distance. And thank God that we took our van out to the village, and then my husband happened to bring the lady down to the dispensary. When he came, the problem is he came with the nurse, the village nurse, village worker. They came down, and she had no experience of childbirth. You know.
Right, so she wasn't trained.
Yeah, she wasn't trained. She came down, and to make it worse, the nurse was not there. She was in the other village. And they went across, and there was a river. There is a river there. And the person has to walk across the river to go and get the nurse.
Oh.
But it was lucky that one of the ladies that came with them, she had the training from the St. John Ambulance. She's from Watakola. And she happened to deliver the baby. So by the time the nurse came, the baby is already delivered, and she was in good health, both baby and the mother. So I went around and tried to ask from the health ministry to train the village nurses with childbirth and some of the techniques that they can go through just to help them in the village.
Especially if, as we're hearing, we don't have the specialized skills at the hospital, so we need to be looking at these midwives training.
Yeah, and also the village dispensary.
Yes.
They should
upgrade
provide
it.
medicine, and that's the first place where people in the village will get help.
So is that what you mean, Satya, that at the village or the community health center should have a good dispensary, some well-equipped people working in that area?
Yes, I understand, and my committee understand is the trained people, like in CWM hospital, there the trained dies there, they deliver the baby. That kind of nurses are there. The matter will be not happen seriously. This okay.
Okay, so coming back to disability, Jyoti, you've heard what Satya, what Lanyana, and also Nanise has just raised. So I'm thinking in the communities where there are really bad roads, there are no bridge access, what happens to persons with disabilities?
I was going to say that it's very difficult because most of them they already have their disabilities, and I mean it's almost the same thing with Nanise has mentioned. But sometimes even the doctors and the nurses are not able to communicate well with our people, especially if they are hearing impaired, and they are not able to provide disability equipments, like for example for physical disability, that they are not equipments, the assistance. So I think even in the rural areas, when we talk about roads, it could be also disability friendly. So it might be strong.
Yes, so it would mean that persons with disabilities can live in their village community, can live in their settlement, but still have access to health services, still be able to freely catch the bus and go into town as well. By 2035, Lanyana, we've talked about the 5-year plan and what you'd like to see for young people. By 2035, what do you hope to see? What's your vision for Fiji?
By 2035, I think we should youth should be employed so they can improve their standard of living for their children to go for education, and affordable health insurance.
Health insurance, so you want to be able to afford that kind of social service support as well, have those kinds of savings in 20 years' time. Okay. Satya, in 20 years' time, what are the changes you'd like to envision?
In 20 years' time, our community needs like if Tavua have built a big hospital, operation theatre and everything included there, that people can save their life. And another thing I want to say, 2035, we want look Fiji as a Europe like Europe country.
Like Europe.
Yes.
So go first world to that regard.
Yes.
What does that mean for you in terms of 2035? what would be happening? What would be the benchmarks for you to say we're now like Europe?
Because our dream is here, we is dreaming. Sometimes dreams will be true.
Okay.
And thanks for when the 2013 is coming. We're waiting for the 2013. If any younger generation have life there, they can see what our dreams are here, and it's successful.
Okay, so that comes back to the need to invest in young people. Lanyana, so do we need to make sure that in the next 20 years there's a strong focus on investing in young people?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Nanise, by 2035, what would you like to see, not just for Ra, but across the Western Division?
I said that the road is a problem everywhere, especially in the interior. By 2035, I hope that all the roads in the interior will be passing and well maintained by the Department of Roads, and all the bridges will connect village to village, so that everybody will have access, including the disability. Everybody will be happy, so we'll have a better.
And in terms of our earlier discussion about employment, what are the specific needs for women going forward into the 20 years, whether it's young women or even older women, or those of us who are middle-aged turning older? What would be the specific needs of women in 20 years' time? We've got all sorts of gender equality commitments. Where should we be in 20 years?
Yeah, but we are just looking at education, but some of us will not go for further education, but we have the skills, the talent that God has given us. We have to use our hands with breathing and all those. The only thing is people have to stand up and not be lazy.
Yeah.
Just make use of their time wisely rather than sitting around and talking, wasting time. Just use their hands, make handicrafts and all those, and sell them. You can help your husband. The income of the family by selling your handicrafts, and as most ladies are doing now. When she can do it, why can't I?
Thanks, Nani. So, Jyoti, 2035, what would you like to see in terms of disability rights? Where should we be as a country?
I would like to see that our conventional rights and persons with disabilities is ratified, because once it's ratified, then we will be able to have access to our public places and transportation, plus the public services. And I would like to see a PG where it's disabled friendly and disability inclusive society.
And that would definitely include employment as well, right, for persons with disabilities. So, Jyoti, in terms of this National Development Plan, as well as the new Sustainable Development Goals, I know disability rights groups have been also advocating about their issues, the need for disability rights to be cross-cutting across all the new development goals. Why do you think we need to keep a focus on gender equality, on human rights and human security when we talk about development?
Because I understand that we are all equal by the law, and we have, if we don't look at our disability, but we have abilities, we can do things as able-bodied does. It's just a way of, we have a different way of learning and different way of, we take a little time, but if we are given opportunity to do things, we are able to do anything which you can do. I give you an example. I've got a friend in Bar. She's working for CJ Patel, and she does. She's working on the machine where she strike the needles with the belt, and they have recorded. She has recorded the highest amount of packing compared to the able-bodied. So nothing is impossible. It's just to win encouragement. And I think if the more awareness we create us between the able-bodied and also the stakeholders, then things will go on very well.
Great. There's a lot of talk, Jyoti, we talk a lot about human security. So for you, what does security mean?
Security means to me, as a person with disability, I need protection anywhere I go, and in any work I do, and because those things all reflect back to my earlier community.
Thank you so much, Jyoti, Nanise, Satya, and Laniana. Highlighting for us that you really can't talk about sustainable development without acknowledging that women and girls in all our diversities and with a range of disabilities, we need to be ensuring that development plans are responding to them, particularly when they comprise the majority of people living in poverty and are bearing the disproportionate burden of the impacts of underdevelopment as we think about the women in the interior communities unable to access markets, unable to access health services. We need to really take this into account. Gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls of all ages is essential for sustainable development. And with that in mind, we'll wrap up this first episode of a new season of Radio with Pictures. It's back to you, Francis.
Thank you, Sharon, and we'll be back at the same time next week for another episode of Radio with Pictures. And don't forget to tune in to Fem Talk 89 FM Suva if you are living in the Nausori and Navua corridor, or Fem Talk 89 FM Lambasa, on air from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every Wednesdays in Lambasa town.